WMDT 47 News, live at 11.
These things happened. The facts cannot be denied. The question now is what the United States of America and the international community is prepared to do about it.
The president addresses the nation as the debate continues over a U.S. strike against Syria. We get a local perspective on this international crisis and concerns over the possibility of a U.S. military intervention.
And dozens of residents are displaced from their homes after an early morning fire in Cambridge. The details on the investigation, plus what's next for those tenants.
And a late-night shooting leaves a 23-year-old in critical condition. Now police are asking for your help to find those responsible. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Emily Lampa.
And I'm David Caldwell. More news in less time starts now.
Earlier this evening, President Barack Obama spoke directly to the American people regarding potential military action in Syria. CNN's Tori Dunnan joins us now with a recap of this evening's primetime address, plus the latest on the ongoing international debate.
Tonight I want to talk to you about Syria.
Speaking directly to war-weary Americans, the president argued the U.S. must be prepared to act.
The purpose of this strike would be to deter Assad from using chemical weapons, to degrade his regime's ability to use them, and to make clear to the world that we will not tolerate their use.
The details: any military strike would be limited in duration and scope, and he assured Americans no boots on the ground.
I will not pursue an open-ended action like Iraq or Afghanistan.
The president laid out the evidence of the August attack and said the regime of Bashar al-Assad was responsible.
The images from this massacre are sickening. Men, women, children lying in rows, killed by poison gas. Others foaming at the mouth, gasping for breath.
And as the president makes his case for military action, a potential alternative emerged Tuesday. Syria agreed to a Russian plan to turn over its chemical weapons, but hurdles remain, like the exact language in a potential resolution.
Any agreement must verify that the Assad regime keeps its commitments. But this initiative has the potential to remove the threat of chemical weapons without the use of force.
In Washington, I'm Tori Dunnan.
Now, although most of us here on the Eastern Shore were unable to voice our opinions in Washington, D.C., as some did at the White House tonight, many locals did tell us that they would be anxiously watching the president's address from home. WMDT's Kelly Rule joins us now in the studio. Kelly, obviously this is a topic that has a lot of Americans talking.
That's right, David. It's been all over the headlines. The majority of Americans are opposing a U.S. military strike in Syria. And I got to see today how that translated locally, along with what some people are hoping to see for the future of the U.S. and Syria. Take a look.
$16 trillion in debt. That's where the United States currently stands. And if a military strike in Syria is thrown into the mix,
you're talking in the millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars.
Michael O'Loughlin, professor of political science at Salisbury University, says each missile alone can cost in the millions.
To say just a few bombs, most Americans understand that that's simply not telling the truth.
The cost to the United States economy is just one fear among the potential cost of life to both the military and Syrians. The Associated Press reports that 75% of Americans do not support sending troops to Syria.
There's really no one that is for the war.
But with U.S. intelligence agencies counting more than 1,400 deaths from an alleged chemical attack.
To not go in would seem unconscionable. To not do something would seem unconscionable.
O'Loughlin says alternate solutions, such as securing Syria's chemical weapons, are a step in the right direction. But there is still the fallback idea of using U.S. airstrikes against Bashar al-Assad's regime in case that effort fails.
Now, while many of the people I spoke with today are probably happy to hear that President Obama is postponing Congress's vote on taking U.S. military action in Syria, David, for those that are supporting the strike, it seems like that is definitely still an option. So it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds over the next few weeks.
It certainly will. All right, Kelly, thank you so much for that report.
WMDT 47 News First Forecast.
Well, definitely feeling like summer today, a little bit unseasonable for this time of the year. That's right, your temperatures today reaching 91 degrees, putting us over 10 degrees above average for this time of the year. And hopefully a few of you out there like this heat and humidity because it is not going anywhere over the next 2 days. 76 degrees right now as we speak. Very warm for the start of your overnight hours tonight, almost to the midnight hour, about a half hour away from that. And your humidity still on the upward side. One thing to note that as you wake up and go through, of course, the morning hours tomorrow, we're going to keep our skies nice and clear, though you might see a little bit of some patchy fog out there. Be prepared for that as your temperature and your dew point get fairly close together. And then as we head through the morning hours tomorrow, temperatures dropping down only to about 67 tomorrow afternoon, though, back into the upper 90s. Now, there is some relief in the forecast with some rain. I'll let you know when to expect that coming up in a couple more minutes. Emily?
Thank you so much, Travis. It's official. The Kent County SPCA will take over dog control services in the county. A vote at tonight's levy court meeting approved the proposal 6-1. And although this only gives the facility 3 weeks to prepare, they fully expect the service to be up and running by the 1st of October. The new contract comes after Georgetown's Safe Haven shelter failed to keep up with the responsibility. We're told this will feature big changes, including having a member of the levy court on the SPCA board. 35 Cambridge residents displaced after an early morning fire rips through an apartment building. The state fire marshal is calling it arson. WMDT's Cody Leibowitz spoke to the victims as well as investigators as they search for answers.
Residents at 416 Pleasant Street started packing and clearing out debris hours after an arson destroyed the foyer of their apartment complex. But 35 parents and children sat outside of their homes waiting for help.
Tired, a little frustrated because of the way things are not moving along.
It's just been an ordeal out here all morning, tired.
The blaze reportedly sparked around 2:30 Tuesday morning. 13 hours after the fire, that help finally came after the Red Cross sheltered residents at the Jubilee Christian Fellowship.
A situation like this is incredibly frustrating and difficult, especially when it's you and your family and your kids that are affected.
Already, Maryland State Fire Marshals have called this an arson that started right here, where these now burnt strollers once sat. But until further inspections, fire officials won't let anyone back into the building.
There's wires involved. Where they go, I have no idea. You just can't walk in and turn on a switch and say, we're back to running.
Once again, that's WMDT's Cody Leibowitz reporting for us tonight. Now, although the investigation is still open, the Maryland State Fire Marshal's office tells us so far they know that they're looking at $20,000 worth of damage in that foyer alone. And those same investigators say today's fire is unrelated to the string of 5 arsons earlier this year in Cambridge. Between March 20th and July 5th, 5 fires were intentionally set at abandoned or unoccupied homes, a factor that differentiates these past cases from today's arson. The Maryland State Fire Marshal's office says that they are still looking into potential leads, but they still need the public's help with these cases. If you see suspicious behavior or have information that could help investigators in either case, call 410-713-3780. And for the latest on the investigation, plus any of today's local headlines, head to our website, WMDT.com.
A Dover man is shot multiple times, and the police need your help finding a suspect. Dover police say last night around 11:20, the 23-year-old victim was shot multiple times in the lower back on South New Street. He was reportedly found lying on the ground and in possession of more than 2 grams of crack cocaine and a large amount of cash. Police say the victim had surgery and is in critical but stable condition. Again, there are no suspects at this time, so if you know anything about this shooting, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-TIP-3333. And just 2 hours later in Dover, 3 armed men allegedly forced their way into a Mitcher Road home. This information also from Dover police. They say once inside, the suspects demanded money from the male victim and took him from the residence. It's still unclear how he got away, but police report that the 37-year-old returned to his home around 7 a.m. unharmed. No suspects have been identified in this crime. If you have any information about this, call 302-736-7111, and callers may remain anonymous. Also in Dover, a 40-year-old man is fatally injured in a motorcycle crash. Police say around 11:45 Saturday night, Jermel Alston was traveling southbound on US 13 just south of White Oak Road when he struck the rear of a car traveling in the same direction. Police say he died from multiple internal injuries. They believe speeding was a factor in the crash.
A new date is now set for the underage sex abuse trial of a former Wicomico High School football coach. David Nettles will once again face a jury on November 18th and 19th. He stands accused of sexually abusing a former student who was 17 at the time of the alleged abuse. A judge declared a mistrial back in July after a jury was unable to arrive at a unanimous verdict. This was not the first time either. The same thing happened back in January, making this next court date his third trial by jury. According to the state's attorney's office, Nettles will have as many trials as it takes to reach a verdict. In Maryland, the Task Force on Juvenile Court Jurisdiction is set to look at the state's judicial system and how it handles juvenile cases. The panel is examining how to reduce the number of young people committed to adult detention centers and prisons. It will also recommend whether to retain automatic adult charges for youth committing certain offenses. We have more on the goals of this task force on our website.
And now to the stories making headlines across our nation this evening.
The senseless deaths of the 4 little girls serves as a catalyst for legislative change. 50 years later, we finally honor their life and legacy. Justice delayed, but not denied.
Powerful words from Congresswoman Terry Sewell as House and Senate leaders came together to honor the victims of a 1963 Alabama church bombing. Lawmakers posthumously awarded the Congressional Gold Medal to the young victims. The 4 girls, Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley, were killed when a bomb ripped through the 16th Street Baptist Church on a Sunday morning. All were under 14 years old.
Today, they become recipients of our highest civilian honor, the Congressional Gold Medal. It's been awarded to, among others, Jackie Robinson, the Little Rock Nine, Rosa Parks, who will now share this bond with Addie Mae, Denise, Carol, and Cynthia.
This Sunday marks the 50th anniversary of that tragic incident. The last surviving Klansman convicted in the blast, 83-year-old Thomas Blanton Jr., is still in prison.
We may soon know if suspected Colorado theater shooter James Holmes will stand trial. A court-ordered sanity evaluation is complete. The findings in a 128-page report are now in the hands of both the prosecution as well as the defense. Holmes is accused of killing 12 people and injuring dozens at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. His trial is scheduled for this coming February.
2 Ohio corrections officers have been placed on administrative leave following the investigation into the suicide of convicted kidnapper Ariel Castro. The 2 were on duty when Castro hanged himself with a bedsheet inside his cell. He was sentenced last month to life plus 1,000 years in prison for kidnapping and abusing Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight for over a decade. In a statement, the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation says the 2 men are on paid administrative leave and are not facing disciplinary action at this time.
Well, still to come tonight, it's a growing problem that caused an estimated 16,000 deaths in 2010. The details on the FDA fight to stop this killer in a bottle.
Absolutely, and we've all seen those powerful anti-smoking ads, but exactly how effective has the ad campaign been in helping smokers quit? The answer's up next in your Family Health Report.
Find these stories and more at WMDT.com.